Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lounge. Hope you're all holding up well. And today I wanted to do the first of what I hope will be several episodes down the line on the topic of liberty, individual rights, and all sorts of bad laws that sort of exist out there in the world. And I hope through this series you gain a better understanding of where government authority ends, or at least where it should end, and what your rights are, or at least what they should be. And I'm going to be presenting a lot of it both from the perspective of a fairly hardline libertarian, which is what I am, but also from the perspective of a former enforcer of the rules. A lot of people who come here off of my main channel often don't know that I actually have a criminal justice and regulatory and administrative law type of background, so that's going to be the angle I'll be coming at for some of these videos. But for the first one, I wanted to discuss something that you've run into probably, hundreds of times in the past, but never realized it was a violation of somebody's rights. And that is smoking bans. Now, odds are, depending on where you live, if it's in North America or wherever, you probably have some smoking bans around, unless you're, over on the other side of the globe. That means you can't smoke in a restaurant or in a bar or in an office or all sorts of places like that. So here's what a lot of people don't realize. These smoking bans are actually terrible law that confuses on whose rights it needs to infringe and whose rights it's protecting. So think about it. Let's say we have two people sitting in a restaurant and one of them is smoking and one of them isn't. Now, some people may say that the non smoker is entitled to a non smoking environment because at the end of the day, secondhand smoke is quite dangerous and the non smoker isn't choosing to smoke, whereas the smoker is choosing to smoke. And so these people who are proponents of smoking bans will say, well, that smoker needs to go outside and we need to ban him from being able to smoke in that restaurant. But in reality, there is a third party at play here who is the only party in play who actually has any rights worth protecting or not protecting, and that is the restaurant owner. Now, think about it. If you're at a house party, it's up to the host of the party to decide whether they're going to allow smoking cigarettes all over the house, in one room, or outside on a balcony, or totally off property. And everybody, smokers and non smokers, have to respect those rules. And if they're unhappy with those rules, well, they don't have to attend the party. They can go to a different party that has different rules. If the same very straightforward knowledge applied elsewhere in the world, it would in fact be the business owner or property owner that would dictate who is allowed to smoke or whether anyone isn't allowed to smoke, and let the free market sort itself out from there. If there's a whole bunch of people who prefer no smoking restaurants, you're probably going to end up with more no smoking restaurants, though you're probably going to find the odd smoking one. There's nothing wrong with that. Anybody who doesn't want to be exposed to the secondhand smoke will go to non smoking restaurants, and in some cases, business owners will have to adjust one way or the other. But in any case, when the government decides to mandate something and go, okay, everybody is no longer allowed to do that, it is in fact trampling on the rights of all of the property owners. And that's bad law. I remember way back when I was a young inspector, one time I went to do inspections in this small town, and my supervisor stops me before I go and he goes, just so you know, there's this one hotel there in that town where you're going to see people smoking and ashtrays on the tables and all that stuff. Don't worry about it. The owner there is just trying to make a point. And at the time, I didn't fully realize what point this owner was trying to make in a jurisdiction that had the smoking ban at the time for like 12 or 15 years already. But nowadays, I am well familiar with what he was trying to do. And as far as I know, actually, for as long as he owned that hotel or bar or whatever it was, he did continue having patrons smoke in there. There was even a police officer who lived just across the way from the bar in that small town, but he was not really willing to deal with it or ticket it or anything. So whenever other sort of authority figures came into the town, they'd be warned that that was just the way it was down there. And in retrospect, I think that guy was awesome. So there you go, guys. This is my first episode on liberty and rights topics. If you found it useful or interesting, make sure you're subscribed and hit that like button. And I'm sure we'll do another one of these real soon.